Well, welcome everyone. We're so happy to, yeah, I keep looking at the computer. I need to start looking at the camera. Welcome everyone. Make sure, we're very happy that so many attended or signed up tonight. And we hope this will be a great workshop. I'm Larry Tiscornia. And this is my wife, Kimika Takechi. We're longtime Japanese tea ceremony instructors in San Francisco. And of course, the tea ceremony contains many parts of Japanese art. And the food arts are an important part because we serve a full meal and also a wonderful sweet when we invite guests. But the wagashi we're going to make tonight also can be just enjoyed in a regular family gathering for dessert. The wagashi are great because there's no cholesterol. They're very low in calories. They have lots of fiber. And other than the sugar, which if you only have one, it's not so bad. There's like 117 calories in the size sweet we make, which is about 45 grams. And so they're very healthy also, as long as you don't eat too many. And we wanted to thank the Southborough, Massachusetts library. I got a blank there. Southborough, Massachusetts library. They got a very generous grant to provide this program tonight. And so we're just honored to be able to be asked to do this. And one of the staff members, Mariana Sorensen, is with us, and possibly the director will be joining us later, Ryan Donna. And again, we wanted to thank you. So tonight we're doing, you want to get the recipe? So tonight we're making autumn sweets. And we're going to show you all the technique on how to make a chrysanthemum, doing two different styles. And then we'll make a couple of multicolor sweets, like you see in the picture, that will give you a real sense of the changing leaves for the autumn. The ingredients are very, very simple, and they're easy to get. And during the workshop, we don't have the chalan because we don't have any to monitor for us. So if you need to ask a question, try to keep them limited. You can always send emails after us, directly to us. We're very happy to answer. Try to keep them limited and just unmute and then just speak up. We won't be watching the screen for any hands up or anything, but it's fine just to unmute and keep a simple question. We'll try to give you a simple answer. We need to end in an hour and a half. So we have to move right along. So your recipe is for 10 sweets, but tonight, because we're going to be making several different styles, we've divided it up into thirds. And so we made two thirds this afternoon in different colors that we'll be using later. And then we'll make 1/3 from scratch so you can see how to do it. The technique is exactly the same for the full batch. The only difference is you may have to microwave it a little longer. This batch is just 1/3 of the full recipe. And again, the full recipe makes approximately 10 sweets. A traditional Kyoto style sweet is 45 grams. 28.4 grams is an ounce. So a little less, a little more than like 1 3/4 ounces, I guess. That's a traditional sweet. And it's interesting, later on we'll be using a mold, showing you how to make these exquisite sweets using a mold. And these Kyoto sweets, everything is so traditional in Japan. This is 45 grams. That means if we put anything more than 45 grams, it's going to ooze out. And so we'll talk about this later. And now right away, we want to get started to make a batch of the nerikiri. Nerikiri is just a sweet using sweetened bean paste and then something to go into it to make it pliable. And nerikiri uses what's called gyuhi. And gyuhi is traditionally made with, it's called shira tamako. And shira tamako, this is in Japanese, unfortunately. Shira tamako is one type of mochi rice flour. Most of you are familiar with mochi ko. Mochi ko is a very fine rice flour. The difference is for shira tamako, It gives the finished sweet, we use it in many different applications. It gives the finished sweet a much more soft texture, where the mochiko is a little firmer. But the process, the difference in price is extreme. This is like two or three times for the shira tamago. And there are little grains. Let's see if you can see this here. They're little it's granular. And the way they get that is they take the mochi rice, they soak it and cook it, and then grind it in water. And grind it in water, and then they press the water out. And what you end up with are these granules that dissolve very, very easily in water. And so now Kitty is going to begin the process. So I'm going to move the camera up now. A lot of tonight will be really just close up, so that you can actually see everything that's going on. You don't really need our faces, you've already seen them, so at the end we'll see you again. So please explain it to me.
So this is with that shiratamago powder with the water, and then this is the 1/3 of recipe. So you can see not much. This one we will do that the binding that the cream paste to stick it together. So if you don't use this one with the white bean paste, it will dry up and then it come apart after made the sweet. But this is binded to get together like a glue. So it's really needed to this one. So when you mix with this and then white bean paste, then heat it and then knead it. And then you can make all different shapes you what you wish to make. So today we are making it's a fall. So most famous in the fall is the chrysanthemum flowers. You will see this one, all different varieties. So you can create your idea. And then other one is maple. So right now it's beautifully, this is from backyard, beautifully color changing. So that you can see the nature and then you can make sweet. That's right, nature comes into your house.
We have to do this tonight, so don't worry if the shira tamago is not completely dissolved. Once it hits the heat, it will.
Much, and then put 1/3 or 100 grams of white bean paste.
And again, this is for clarification, this is the white bean paste that's already been made. This is sweetened bean paste. And later we gave you 2 sheets of how to make it, but we'll give you a real quick run through of how to do it, just so you can see. We did all this last night, making the bean paste. It's a tremendous amount of work, and so we needed to do it ahead of time for this short class.
So mix really well. And then you can use the butter together to knead
And again, if there are any questions, just please unmute and just speak out. It's perfectly fine.
So mix very, very well.
And I mentioned in your recipes, most people have a microwave, but if you don't, this could be placed in the cloth-lined steamer and steamed for 10 or 15 minutes to cook the shira tamago, the mochi rice flour. But this recipe was kind of developed to do in the microwave because it's very quick and very easy.
So this bean paste, the little drier side, when you make it with the bean paste. So later we'll show how texture will be, but the drier side is better because if it's really wet, you cannot really make it the shape easily. So drier, then you can adjust moisture later.
And these recipes for Wagashi it's baked or steamed, they're pretty much not set in stone. You really have to experiment because the beans and the water, everything is different, the atmosphere. And so you really need to experiment on your own to get the right balance. And on your recipe, you're making a full recipe, which is 10 sweets. So you would spread all of that out on the plate into little groups, as I said in the recipe. We're making 1/3 because we've already made 2/3 earlier, so we could color them in advance. We want to just see each step by step.
So put on that dish and use it in the microwave like this, open, no cover. Okay, I do 45 seconds. They 1/3.
And again, every microwave is different.
You need this the texture.
So this is the texture. It's very soft, like soft mashed potatoes right now. But it will dry out in the microwave. Do not cover with plastic wrap. Plastic wrap will bring more moisture. Anytime you cook in the microwave, if you want something to dry more, keep it unwrapped.
What's this one? That's 45 seconds. Yeah, that you will in the color that you are going to use it. So you can see it.
It's got firm now.
Right.
It's drier than it was.
The microwave and you on the copper will dry it. Or you do or dry also will be cooked. So if you are too wet, just keep longer and you can adjust for that texture.
And this afternoon, okay, back to the table. You have to do it one more time.
One more time.
Need just a little more drying out. And then on your recipe, you'll see that we've made mitsu. And mitsu is just a sugar water syrup. Today we just use 50 grams, a couple of ounces of sugar, and 50 cc's of water. And in the pot, you just heat it till the sugar dissolves. And this is like a thin syrup. It's called mitsu. And this is used as like a lubricant to keep the nerikiri, the meat paste, soft. And it also is good for our hands. And before we make the sweet, also we put some on our hands. And don't worry if they look a little wet because the mitsu will actually absorb right into the sweet. And for the coloring today, we're using just a standard store-bought multi-color package from your supermarket. But for those of you that want to maybe use something more organic, for the green, you could use matcha. And for the red, today we made yellow and green using the standard food colorings, this is what we always use. But again, if you're concerned about not using that, something more natural for the red, you can use like strawberry powder. And for the green, you can use matcha. And for the yellow, you could use saffron, which would be very interesting. The saffron will give it just a little saffron taste, which would be a nice component, something different. We have a fun actually putting different flavorings in the bean paste too. That's much drier now.
See that?
put your finger in so they can see.
Very hard.
So it's much like a very firm mashed potatoes now.
Yeah, until cool down more, don't use the hand, okay? It's very, very hard.
It's not that hard.
It is hard.
It's fine.
Be careful if it's 3 times, okay? And then if you keep it here, the paint is hot and there is more dry. So we sorry, change it to glass, okay? So they will knead it in the hand, and then they are syrup.
Again, the syrup is the mitsu. We should refer to it as syrup.
Yeah.
Because
They
mitsu is the Japanese.
water and
Yeah, sorry
sugar
about that, yeah.
in the hand, okay? So want to stick to the hand, okay? Moisture. And then you can knead it. And then if it's really, it's very important, okay? When you knead it, you feel that this texture is the one most important part of making this nerikiri soup. If texture is not right, and then you cannot make a good shape, also when you eat it, very the perfect softness makes the taste the best. So drier or softer isn't good. So just you need it yourself. You can tell this texture. So you can make all the different shape. You can feel that.
Make it a little more clear. So what she's doing is she's showing you that if you've got enough mitsu in there so that it holds its shape, then that's exactly what we're looking for, because we're gonna need to put a shape in this. If you just use the plain sweetened bean paste, it would give a little shape, but it would get very soft very quick and you would lose the shape. So this nerikiri dough allows you to play with it some and to make designs and things. And you see that later when we put the make the chrysanthemums and also when we use the mold.
So if this thing is good, but if it's too soft, then put it back to the plate again, and then put it back microwave or put paste. Then we'll dry out. Okay, so that's very important to this stage make the right texture. And then this one needs to be a little bit softer. Then just little bit, so you can feel and then make it right texture.
And you have to just do this yourself and play with it, and sometimes we fail, and that's how we learn.
You can make it with shape that you have felt. And then it's this one. So just to wait until cool to make it the shape. But for color, like this one is fine. Okay. So we don't want directly color on them. Might be too much, depends on the color. So just separate a little bit. Okay. And then put it on.
But again, this is a very important point. Do not put the color directly on the big amount of the nerikiri. Put it on a little piece first, and then you can blend it in, because
Drop to them.
if it's too much, there's no recovery.
If it's you, maybe you know how much it is. Before that, this one is that. Okay, we use the milk. Right. So this is the different color I never used before. This is the good test. Let's check it the color. Much darker, so I need this color.
Then again, this would be more pinkish rather than red.
I don't. All of the small now.
And again, any questions, you can just unmic and unmute and
I
yes.
how it is. We did it very well.
And then while you're kneading it, sometimes it dries out a little, so you can just add meat to. The meat to actually is very good for keeping it moist and for keeping your hands from sticking.
Yeah, it's like much stronger the color than the coffee we are using before. So one just drop.
One drop is fine.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need 2 drops.
Yeah. It's- So then that even color account nice even. You can feel the texture.
And while cake is kneading, there may be a question with some of you. You've heard the expression konashi. In Kyoto, where I trained and where we lived for many years, konashi is what's normally used for these kinds of sweets. Konashi is actually very similar in texture, but it's made with flour. We use regular wheat flour and mochi flour, and then it's steamed, where the nerikiri is made with gyuhi. And another name for shira tamako, the sweet rice flour, is called gyuhi mochi sometimes. But it's gyuhi is just made with that shira tamako. So it's different ingredients, but the end result is very similar.
So after making. So want to dry that until you use it, okay?
And then once it's cool, if you're gonna make this, and then maybe tonight make the sweets, if you make this in the morning, then cover with plastic wrap as well to keep it nice and moist.
Larry, I had a question.
Yes,
In Kyoto, I was told by one of the sweets makers that they use, I think it's called kokil for the red color. It's a natural red coloring. It's
you
the
can use
same
anything.
color the red coats use.
You
for
can
the
use
color.
anything you want that's natural, yeah, if you don't like the store-bought food coloring.
Do you know if that's available?
I have
in
no
the
idea.
country?
You'd have to search on your own. Again, a lot of people I know use this strawberry powder. It's available online. And that gives a nice little strawberry taste as well. But I
Thank
don't
you.
know the ingredient you're talking about.
I know it's an insect, cochleo. This is Kendrick. I heard you could use beet juice too. That's one suggestion.
You could use
Good
beet
idea.
juice too. That's a good one. I forgot about beet juice, yeah. So be creative. Next.
So next thing we are going to make, explain that the tool we need.
Let me go over the tools for you. So we're going to do a lot in this short period of time today. So again, later on, you'll be receiving at some point in the near future, you'll be receiving a link to the video on YouTube. So for wagashi making, we take regular bamboo chopsticks and then we shave them down to make them pointed. Especially when we make a type of sweet called kintone, where we pile on threads. And this allows you to very easily pick up small strands and to deal later on when we put the inside of the flower and the chrysanthemum, you'll see it's much easier to pick it up rather than with a big fat hashi or chopstick. And then we've taken one of the bamboo chopsticks and we've whittled it down to like a semi-round end. And then you can buy all these tools, but they're very expensive. And when I trained in Kyoto, the teacher said, yeah, try to make your own if you can, and use your money for something else to buy tea utensils. And then you can buy a very expensive Wagashi tool. They're available online on Amazon. They're like $35 or $45. It's got rounded edges and straight edges for forming things. But again, you don't need to spend the money on this. We've taken, because we teach a lot and we want people to be able to get things. So this is a Japanese kamaboko or fish cake board. So save those. And then you can cut them down into a square and then shave off one part. And then you have basically the same tool. And this allows you to do the shaping with the edges. It doesn't have the round part, but you can improvise and use this part you shaved for the round part. And then also for the molded sweet, this is the traditional, we'll show you tonight how to make a 3-color Kyoto maple leaf. If you buy one, can only buy one of these, maples are good because we can use them in the early summer and make them green, where the maples are green then, for a couple of months during the summer, and then we can use them in the autumn. So you get, this is like a multi-use one. They're very expensive in Kyoto. Sometimes you can find them online used. And another option, this is like a, I believe it's a butter mold. It's got a little fish and another design. And so rather than actually putting the sweet in the mold, I think there'll be time to show you, we can just put it on top and you'll get the impression on the top of the sweet. So there's lots of interesting butter molds and things if you look around at cooking utensil stores. Okay. Now, while that nerikiri is cooling, I'll give us a quick review of how to make bean paste. Again, I gave you a detailed 2-page description. Everybody makes their own style. In Japan, there's lots of different ways to do it. This is the way I learned when I trained at the Earth Tea School in Kyoto. And so this is the way I taught Kimika, and this is the way we've been doing it for 35 or 40 years. We've always used baby lima beans, but baby lima beans right now in San Francisco area, they're hard to find. So we switched to the large lima beans. I'm sorry, question? No? To the large lima beans. And actually, they're easier to get out of the shell, but we've just always had a tradition of using the baby ones. So now we've switched to the large ones because of the supply chain problems. And when you buy the beans, beans always have, kind of hard to see here, but they always have a code and the date on the back. And so I always reach to the back of the stack. Always in the back, they put the freshest ones. And so if you look at the date at the front and the back, the back ones are more fresh. And if you buy more than one pack, you want to make sure that they both have the same date and code on it. That way they'll cook evenly. If you buy 2 different packs that have different code, one might cook sooner than the other. And to make the bean paste, it's very easy. We just wash the beans like you're making Western style cooked beans, and then soak them overnight, and then put them in a large pot of cold water, bring it to the boil. And with the lima beans, you get a lot of that white that's called the aku, or the white foam that comes off. And so we have a pan of water by the stove, and you just skim the aku off and put it into the water to release it. And then after it comes to the boil, you want to discard the water, fill it up again, bring it to the boil, and do this again, discard the water. And you do this 2 or 3 times, and this takes some of the strong beanie flavor away and gives you a much nicer finished bean paste. And then after, you have a bowl for my, a bowl for the bean paste? So just dump this, just dump this. Right. And so we've saved just a little sample for you.
This one there.
So. Blocking the camera. So, and then we have, this is a fine miso strainer. This is not a noodle strainer. So any Western style stainless steel, very, very fine strainer will work. And so we've cooked the beans, and again, we cooked 1 pound of beans. So we have a huge pot of very, very soft beans. And you want to cook them till they're very mushy. The more mushy, the better, because you can extract more of the meat out. But again, we saved a little sample here. And then over the sink, we do this. So if you have an accident, you don't lose your beans. You just scoop the beans into the sieve. And you have to do this when it's very hot. And this is the traditional suribo made from hinome wood, the prickly ash pear. But then I'm just going to use just a plain wooden one. And then this is finished. And then you push the beans through the sieve into the water. And again, this takes a lot of time over at the sink. And what you end up with is all the bean skins, and then you have a huge pot of bean water. And we use, where's the big bag? The big bag. So we use this is Japanese sarashi cloth. You can find this online, or any kind of a thin white 100% cotton towel, like a white dish towel from India or Pakistan. They work perfect. And Kimika double sewed this to make this bag. And then we put this over a big pan in the sink in case any falls out. And then we pour, or we start scooping actually, the bean water into the bag. But today we won't use this for demonstration purposes. We have a smaller one. So, and this is the same cloth, just wet. And again, we do this over the sink. And then we use a scoop to scoop it in. And you pour the hot bean water into the cotton bag. And whether you're making white bean paste or azuki red bean paste, the smooth one, the technique is exactly the same. And then you squeeze it. And again, we do this in the sink, also in a bowl though, in case your bag splits or something, you don't want all your work to go down the drain. And so in a bowl, a big aluminum or stainless steel bowl, you squeeze it. And how much to squeeze is always the dilemma. So you want to squeeze it enough so that you get a lot of the water out. A little hard to see. But if you put your finger in, it will leave an impression. Okay, and that's just about perfect. But the tendency is to squeeze too much. And then you end up with chalky beans. They're real chalky and they just fall apart. So either way is fine. The best is if you did it just like I did the first time, because the next step is to add the squeezed beans in a very heavy, we use a great big cast iron enamel pan. We have a great big one that we use. This is our small version. You put the beans in there and the sugar. Just follow our instructions. And then very, very slowly, we start mixing on low heat, gradually turning it up. And this is a Japanese rice paddle. Normally they're rounded, but we took ours and just cut it off and then sanded it so that it's flat and the flat part meets the bottom of the pan, so you won't get any burning. And you have to keep turning. And again, if you squeeze it like I showed you first, that'll be just about the right amount of sugar and the right consistency for the beans. But if you squeeze too much, it will become too dry. So you'll have to add some more hot water when you're doing this. And don't panic, when you first put the sugar in and melt it, it's very, very soft. But as you cook it, like 1 pound of beans takes about 20 minutes to a half hour to cook. So you have to keep stirring and stirring and stirring and stirring. And when you remove it from the pan, it's going to be a little softer than you think it should be. But as it cools, it will firm up a little bit. And again, from experience, you'll be able to see this. And so what you end up with so this one.
So this one
Yeah.
for squeeze.
So Kimiko saved 2 yesterday. Have some samples. So this is what it looks like when it comes out of the pan after it cools, before we add the sugar, after we squeezed it. And then once we add the sugar, once it melts, it's very, very, very soft. You can see extremely soft. And then as we cook it more, then we get a little firmer texture. And that's perfect for the inside of the sweet we're going to make today. But we wanted to cook it just a little more. And it's even just a little drier, but not dry. And this is perfect for the outside because we're going to be adding the gyuhi, the mochi flour, and it will soften a little bit. So again, you need to experiment. And then when you slice the sweet, see how the inside holds together. If you made it too dry, the inside will fall apart. You want the inside to be nice and moist so that the guests keep it in one piece. And again, we'll just demonstrate cutting one later. Right. So any questions about the quick overview of how to make on? No? Good. Okay, next, we'll start to make the sweets. And we're getting darker here in San Francisco now. The sun is setting, so when we looked at this last night, we've never done a night class as the sun was setting, and so there's lots of shadows on the hands. So we've took out our ring light here, and I'm going to put that on so that the shadows will diminish some. The ring light on. So now you'll have less of heavy shadows on. If it wasn't for COVID, we wouldn't even know what a ring light was, actually. So we learned so much in the last 3 years. Okay.
So if you use the saran wrap, easier to clean that.
And also just one caution about saran, we call everything saran wrap, but this is not saran wrap. This is the stretch type. We found over the years that the actual brand name saran wrap, it's fine for just covering something like this. But if you want to use it for kneading sweets and things, I don't recommend it because it gives off a little taste, that company's product. We like this stretch type, but experiment on your own. We just, because we've always called it saran wrap, we still do, but it's actually plastic wrap.
This is the inside, go to inside of the sweet.
So explain what it is first.
Brown. This is the sweet bean paste. That
And that's the second one I showed you, or the first one of the prepared bean paste. I showed you one for the inside and then a little firmer that's gonna go for the outside.
this one and then what's that? Kneaded the flour. Is this one same?
Again, these are both, all of these colors are the nerikiri that we made. We made 2 batches this afternoon, 2 1/3 batches, and then 1/3 tonight, so you could see the process.
So standard amount is outside is 30 gram. Inside is 15 gram, half of them.
And again, 30 grams is just a little more than an ounce, 28.4 grams is an ounce.
And then for the color one, 3 colors, so that the 10 gram each, 10, and I'll make it. That pink one, 10, makes the 30 gram. Okay, so that you can measure one by one, but it takes time. So just make samples, 30 gram, 10 gram, 15 gram, and then adjust. Okay, so just this one, so that before you use it, always knead it back because it will dry. We will put it out, so that always put mix and then always before make sweet, knead it back with the mix that sugar water, and then get back to the texture you like to have. So this is very important part. You cannot skip this part, okay? You have to knead it back. So if you make it head of time, this dough, then just like a dry, and then just mix and put the sugar water, okay? And then you can do a dough head of time, but it has to knead it back, all right? And this is 100 gram, 1/3. So I make the 32, 30, and then 5, 1, 3, 4, 5. 30, 60 gram. Okay, a little bit adjusted. The outside a little bit. Same as yellow. Kind of still big.
And as Kamika said, you don't have to weigh each one. Some people do, but they can be just slightly different.
Yeah.
With your experience, you'll be able to get in the same size. But everybody should have a nice kitchen scale, something like this, a flat one that's easy to put on the table. It weighs grams and ounces. It's very important to have that when you're doing any kind of Japanese cooking or other cooking too, especially baking. And again, you can feel with your experience how dry this might be, and so you can add a little more mitsu. And that'll just keep it moist. And again, don't worry if there's mitsu or the sugar water on the outside. It will absorb into the sweet as it sits.
So when you make more, this is the standard. First the stage that sweet making, you have to learn how to make a ball round. So that's put it on that left hand if you're a right hand person, and then make it touch this one, then touch, touch, and then make it go round, like that. You see that? And then go into, and then by the sun, and then go turning, make it around. You practice, okay?
And we don't want to squeeze real hard. Let's try to make a nice even round ball.
Before you have to do the, okay? So, like that.
Also, I see Ryan Donovan, the director of Southborough, has joined us. So thank you again for arranging this with Mariana.
So, we need yellow one first, this is 30 grams, all right? And if it's hard,
And again, just for explanation, the reason she made those small 10 grams one are that we're going to be putting 3 of those together later to give a nice fall color. But right now she's going to be making which one?
you know,
She's doing chrysanthemums first,
and,
2 different styles.
so if you make it like this, and then if you sometimes break it, and you read it, so this was and they just need that, okay?
And again, you can put a little mitsu too.
Need it back. Again. Or you, all right. Always bring it back, okay?
Again, any questions as we go along, just please unmute and ask.
And then if you have a friend in the family to get out, get much more fun. And by yourself, and then I grew up, I loved the rain. Then my parents, they are farmers, so if it's rain, they cannot go outside much, so, we make sweet at home. So it's reminding that. Younger time. So we just did now. All right, so everything is almost same that I got the rate, please. Okay. Little bit sweet. And then flatty. And then do not pinch the edge. Okay, we don't have a certain thickness of that edge. Do not pinch it, okay? You have to have that space. Then like that. Thank you. And then turn over. And then kind of stick it good. And then come back. And then on the left flat socket, you cover like this. Okay, too, but I'll show you how the professional people do that. Now, left hand or 4 fingers will come toward you, somewhat going out. So this way. You see? Then comes here. And then you of the big face that come out, most of the people here will happily. Then just push back with the finger. Then keep doing, and you have thickness outside edge. Then just seal without air between the outside skin and the inside being based all the way. Seal into, so no air. And then around the same thickness outside. That we want. And then go make the ball smoothly round. Okay.
And then I do it slightly different. I do it like this and then bring it up and push a little bit of the center. Bring it up this way. Whatever way is.
Yeah. And then while you do it, it gets better. So do a lot, okay? Like this. Then we do pink one same, okay? So that the sun will have a different color.
You can't see that.
You see? Yellow, red, pinky, purple. That's why the different colors you can make it. Okay. Here. Same thickness that goes the way around the outside the skin. That we like it, you know, air space between the inside, intake and the outside and so on. Okay. So we do chrysanthemum shape, okay?
And you can make these any color you want. But if you do a tea event, normally we like to have everybody have the same color for like dessert at a dinner party. It's nice to have everybody the same, or you could have alternate, one guest gets one and one guest gets the other one. We usually just serve one sweet.
So that if you have a time to make even like this, just use the kamaboko ball as it is, okay? And then we use the one edge, this one, to the line. So the mitsu, here you are going to use it, okay?
Again, the mitsu, the syrup really adds a very important part. It prevents sticking.
So after you made it, and then this is a very round ball. I like a little bit, they are round chrysanthemum too, but we like a little flat. So just press a little bit. Press.
These are all different varieties of percent.
Use it in the center, and then this one go away from the left. So this is the one. And then away from you. So that, depends on the size of the pepper. Just away from you, and then don't worry that evenly or not, because all that sentiment that you look, nothing is the same size. So just go away from your center. This is easier. I figure that rather than going up to the center, because the beginning is the center, then just away from you, and then change away from you, and then change. So that the little bit, and then this
Well,
is
just explain a little bit why. You put a little indentation in the center.
indentation. They have indentation. Okay. So that, okay. And then we, I will go one more. Okay. So just to make that little bit rounded, same one we did.
Are you doing pink the same way?
Different. I
Okay.
want to have different material.
Okay, so we-
This one you want to make same one.
So I can do the same one.
Same one. Same one. After make same one. And then I tell you this one. Oh, you can create the different shape. I want to do this one different shape. And then stand it up. Opposite. I think that's okay. So that we like to make it evenly. The use is the corner. And then if you put the center, this is the center and then this is the corner. You get it into that. Okay.
And then also make sure that the bottom of the sweet is flat. Very important so that it rests on the dish.
Evenly. And then,
What I'm doing now, just in the interest of time, I'm going to be putting some of the colored ones together, which will be into our autumn sweets. You just kind of blend them together. And there's no rhyme or reason, you can do it any way you like, as long as they're stuck together.
and then now I show you that so that chopstick, just the back side of the chopstick around. Okay. So that the pickup. So just that out. Out. And then so going to bigger. All the pickup is different, small, and then big, like that. That's it. The different. That right. Then now I show you that center. So that I read the different color or yellowish or greenish. It's the same dot, just more yellow color and green color together. Very nice. This two chopsticks. And then, so this the chopstick, that's why, okay. Yeah, it is. I do like. Has to be in front of you. I do again. All right. So,
What I'm doing while she's doing that, I'm just putting the three colors together for the switch we're making next. You kind of have to just push the balls together and then kind of spread it into each other.
oh no.
So you need to move this down, get rid of this.
Change your pen. Chopstick, very good. Just the. Over that I made a mistake. Yeah. I think it's the top one.
And now I'm going to be putting the white balls inside the three colored ones.
I show you different standard. The same ball, just that this. Right. Take this. Right. So and then just like easier to guide the yeah, to make it guide. So cut into and then go into the thing. And then now going to do that. Move to the right, bottom side, move to the right, but the center of it. And they go down. And then going to the right, move to the center, go back. That's it. The right, they go into that. I show you one more time, okay? Oh, okay. One more, same one, okay? This time. And then, make a guide. so that use this hole or that triangle to center, right? And then up, right? Right. Come to center, right? Come to center, right? And then, but even the pressure, you need to practice だけど、even pressure is the key. And then, have a fun. ね、okay? It looks like a magic だけどね。It's not. You can create anybody, okay? All right.
That's one more than three.
So,
So again, to make the three colors, you just put three together. And you have to kind of mush them together so they stick. You can use some mitsu.
make sure, oh, no. Make sure it's wet today. I didn't do that. If you wet chopstick, want to stick back だけどね。
Okay, any questions about the chrysanthemum?
Okay. So you can create the color and the shape and the and then color 茶巾絞り we do. Okay.
So, and then another technique of making these sweets, again, is to incorporate several colors. And they can be in any, there's no rhyme or reason how you do this. Yeah, what chutney?
You can make it. Okay. You can do it. Right?
So
Sure.
a chakin shibori, chakin is the linen cloth that we use in the tea ceremony, but this is just actually the cotton cloth. And we've made the balls. With the different colors mushed in, again, 10 grams of each, and then the 15 grams inside. And so you put it in the cloth. And turn the cloth over. And then very gently, you squeeze it. And flatten the bottom just a touch. And then when you unmold it, again, it could be a multicolored chrysanthemum design. By just putting different pressure, you'll be able to get different designs on the sweet. Okay.
One more.
You want one more of that?
茶巾絞り.
Okay. So one more chakin shibori. Again, you have to be sure that the bottom where you joined it is at the top. And the top is going to be the top when you take it out. And so again, this damp cotton cloth over it. You gather it. Not too much pressure, flatten the bottom a little bit. And then undo it. And then another design. You can make all different shapes and you can see the different beautiful fall colors. Okay? Now we need to make the mold, Kimika?
Yes.
Okay. You have to wet them all. First. One could wet both of them, so I can show. The mold. Okay. So actually, we never want to use soap on the molds, but I'm going to run it under water quickly to moisten it. No questions? And again, you want to wet it and then pat it dry. And then we'll be using the Mitsu, the lubricant, to help it release. And I need a little more Mitsu here.
I do.
Yeah. It's over here. The spoon is over here. That's fine. That's fine. And then you take the Mitsu and you really want to lubricate your mold very good. You can use a brush if you want. I just always, the way I learned it is to use my fingers, but if you look online, sometimes you see the professionals using a brush. But once you get going, and if you make like 10 of them in a row, it'll be very easy to keep it lubricated so they don't stick. And then you want to the inside of the mold. And you can find some of these molds now, if you go to Amazon, they're selling them, they're made in China and they're plastic, and actually they're very nice. So have a look on Amazon, it's amazing what you can find on there now. Wagashi is becoming more and more popular. And then these Wagashi molds have 2 lines so that you don't get it mixed up when you put the top on the bottom. So you line up the lines. And then you take your sweet. And again, we're going to use one of the multicolor balls. And you place it in the mold and press down just a little bit. And then cover it. And then we use our fingers. And you want to press into each of the designs so that it gets to the bottom. And again, these molds are 45 grams. As you can see, our balls were 45 grams. So really, it's amazing. It just, if you make it more than that, it'll ooze all out, which is fine. You can just wipe it off. Okay. And then you unmold it. And you'll see you have the beautiful we'll take a close-up picture later with the, yeah, with the beautiful. It's kind of hard with this, could you just turn, oh, there we go, it's better back here, I think. With this ring light, it's a little bright, but, and then to get out of the mold, sometimes the problem, you have to cup your hand. And then you slap it. Until it comes out. And then you have a beautiful maple design in multicolor. And then you can either use a tool or sometimes we use our finger to press any little stuff that might have exuded out. Okay. You want to do one more of those, Kamika, or no? No, that's it. Oh, there's one more sweet. So we'll show you how to do the other one.
Shape,
Yeah, that's fine.
your maple.
No, we'll just do
That's fine.
the fish, right? So you can see.
Yeah.
And then we'll show you how to just make an impression if you don't have one of those Japanese. Do that later, later.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want that soaking in water.
All right.
Yeah. Let me just rinse this. And again, when you use these wooden molds, it's nice to wet them first with water. And then again, Coda will do the fish tonight. And you can find lots of different nice molds in cooking utensil stores. And so once you've got it well lubricated, then take your sweet. And normally we wouldn't do this multicolored, we would do it just one color. And then you press it down carefully, putting a little pressure on it. Then try to round it just a little, it can be oval too, is fine. And then when you lift it off, you can correct anything. And it's got a nice design. Later on, we'll turn this light off and you'll see it better with a fish in the middle. So be creative and look around for butter molds and things. So you don't have to spend tremendous amount of money. The Japanese wooden molds are very expensive there. We bought that like 30 years ago in Kyoto, or 35 years ago, and it was like 8,000 yen. That's it was $80 then, a little more than $80, much cheaper now. But they're probably up to $100 now. So let me just show you here. I'm going to turn the light off here. I think you'll get a better view without the moisture around so you can see the maple correctly. And if people want to take a screenshot on the dish, we're gonna plate it also, to give you some examples of how you might want to plate them. Let's just give you a see how this works. Hold on a second. Okay, if you want to take a screenshot. And you can see all these different designs, and they're all completely different sweets. The taste will all be very, very similar. But it's great to be able to be creative. You can do so many different designs. People for Halloween made pumpkins, orange pumpkins, and cut little faces out. I mean, it's just really exciting what you can do. Okay, now we'll just set up the table so you can Did you write the table one first?
Yes, I did.
So we'll just show you, we have about 5 more minutes, and we'll just show you how we might serve these. No questions? Kendrick, you're so quiet tonight.
Oh, no, I'm just observing. I'm really impressed. I have the plastic mold.
Oh, good.
I unfortunately did it with just a plain straight cushion, which I realized was a mistake.
Yeah.
But that's
So,
okay.
again, Kendrick is saying that he has the plastic molds, but he did it with just the bean paste without actually making the nerikiri or the
Right.
Wagashi. Yeah, so it was a mess.
Yes, so now
Yes.
I realize I should try it with the nerikiri, but I did make them without the nerikiri without the molds. I will do obviously.
Did you have a quick sample to show us?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
I do.
real quick, because we're winding down now. So,
Okay. So, whoops, let me see if I can bring the camera around. Geez, I got to do something with the light.
so we don't have much time, so
Let's see. I'm gonna,
there we go. So can you spotlight that, Mariana, so people can see?
try to.
Oh,
Okay,
nice.
okay, so let me get it better.
That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
That's great. Still, you held the shape.
Yeah, it was a challenge.
Let's see you too. Let's see you too, Kendrick. Your
Oh,
face.
I'm sorry.
There we go.
Okay, there we go. Oops,
Good.
trying to get used to.
Okay, and then you can re-spotlight us, Mariana. That's great, Kendrick. Did anybody else make with us tonight? No? And if you do make, you might want to send a picture to the library and so they might really like to see it. Okay. And I'll just quickly show you how just some different ways we might serve these for tea. We have, get a little faster.
Yeah,
We're running out of time.
okay.
Yeah.
Should I?
Why don't you just turn the plates around so they're all ready?
They haven't.
Okay. Okay,
Okay,
that's fine.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Normally, when we decorate sweets, we do it with the front facing us, but in interest of time tonight, we're gonna do it backwards, so. And so we have lots of different varieties. This would be a ceramic bowl that we would serve 3 or 5 sweets in, where the guests would pass them and take them. And these are little individual plates with ginkgo leaves on them. And each guest would get their own with a pick on the front.
Yeah.
Like so. Then we have plain dishes, and like a greenish blue dish, you'd want to put the yellow sweet on. And these boxes are called fuchidaka, and this is at Urasenke, we use these as stacked boxes. If we have 3 guests, we use 3 boxes, and each guest would get their own sweet in a box with a pick. And then once you take this one away, make things tighter here. Good. That's fine, if you got time, yeah, yeah. Okay, let me just take these away. And then we move this over. Oh. Let's go with these rags. Right. I'm gonna move the camera up some. Uh, So you can take a screenshot of that, if you like. Okay, everybody's got their screenshots? So let me move the camera back here. Well, it's amazing, we didn't rehearse this, but we got in right at 5:30. So we wanted to thank, first of all, Mariana and Ryan for all of their help in putting this together. I know it takes a lot of work on your end, and we really appreciate it. We wanted to thank all of the participants. Many didn't come tonight, but they're looking forward to trying these when they see the video on YouTube. And I said that at some point, when they have time, they're gonna be putting this on YouTube, and we'll send you a access to be able to view it. And are there no more questions? We have just a couple of minutes for questions.
I don't have a question, but I want to thank both of you because I really have learned about practicing and it really is right. You're right about that.
Thank you. Yeah, practice makes perfect, and we learn from our mistake, and we still make mistakes. We still make mistakes. And we learn from it. Yeah. And also, I wanted to mention that the library is going to be sending after this workshop to everyone did you want to go ahead and say that, Mariana?
Yeah. Just thank you so much from Southborough Library over here in Boston, Metro Boston, for partnering with us to offer this, even though we had like the time limit and our time zone. We really appreciate that. And thank you to the Institute of Museum and Library Services that gave us the grant that we could fund this. For our grant requirements, we are supposed to give some feedback. So I'll send you guys, everyone who's here, everyone who signed up, a survey. And if you have time, you can just answer a few of the questions. And then,
She
yeah,
really
I'll
appreciates you send it back. Yeah.
and then, and I'll send out the YouTube video too, once we have it up.
So again, thank you. Any of the participants, if you do have any questions, feel free to email. I know we get a lot of emails with questions as you go along. Don't be discouraged. Just keep trying, and each time they get better. And you can see we can make such a huge variety with just simple ingredients. And it really is the luck of the season right now. So again, thank you all, and thank you again, Mariana, for taking the time tonight. Now you can close down the library.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, bye guys.
Thank you all. It's dark now in San Francisco.
Thank you, Larry and Kamika.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wish you could all be here to eat these with us.
I know, now I'm hungry as well as
And they're only
music.
117 calories each, so.
Well, I'm going to eat mine, Larry. I can tell you that.
I know, well, that's the drawback being at the library. Couldn't make them.
Okay, so I'll stop the recording now.
Okay. And I will